up there, cyber friend? It's Mitty Man from Walker's Music coming at you again with yet another word for today. It's highly unusual for me to come back to back like this here, but I want to say that when I get a request, I would like to go on and do what I'm asked to do, because it's better to be asked for something, and it's better to be asked up than to be asked down. Brother PP Drawing, we give you a big shout out because you were the one that you asked that I would repost that about the tithing principle, and I decided I better go and do it now while it's fresh on my mind before I forget it. I always like to do what people ask me to do to the best of my ability. And on that last video, when I was speaking about the tithing principle started in the garden, everything starts in the garden. Everything is from the beginning. We noticed that because a lot of people try to say what God mean and what God didn't mean. I try not to do that because it's dangerous for we to start thinking about what God means. God's ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. We don't even have the fragment of the intelligence that our Heavenly Father has. So we need to stop trying to say what God didn't mean and what He did mean, and just start reading the Bible for what it says. If it's in the Word, then just be safe and just say what the Word says. We don't need to try to put what we think in it, because a lot of times we gonna be wrong. And when I was reading, I always wondered, I was reading it, said when God created at creation, He had made everything, and He made it. He placed in everything for the man before He made the man. Everything was already in place. Matter of fact, He even told the man where the good gold was. He showed him where all the resources was. He told him where it was. So that means God had everything already mapped out, planned out, and suited for the man. So the man didn't have too much to do but just enjoy. And when I look at what He said about the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and also the tree of life was also in the garden. So now you don't have to be a real bright to figure out something. God said, we know it was a test of obedience. But then we say to ourselves, well, why did God have to test? Well, you see, God gave man free will. Just like He gave the angelic beings. They got free will too. Because remember, a third of them followed Satan. When Satan was cast out of heaven, a third of the heavenly host followed Satan. So now what do we say about the tithe principle? Well, that was something that God's want. And I said that when I looked at that tree, He said, now look, all the garden, all the trees of the garden, you may freely have and eat, and all of it will be for food for you. But the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and that sits in the midst of this garden. In other words, I don't want you to mess with that. That's off limits to you. Okay, now, let's just keep it like that. That's off limits to you. Let's keep it like that. Meaning, that belongs to me. That's just like you got something that belongs to you. Or I may have something that belongs to me. And I, just like my studio out there, I said, okay, y'all, anybody that comes in, I said, now, look, you can touch the keyboard, you can touch my drum, but don't put your hand on my mixer. I don't want nobody messing with my mixer. Well, if you go in there and you do what I asked you to do, you play the keyboard and you hit the drum, but you don't touch the mixer, then everything gonna be all right with me and you. But if you touch my mixer, everything ain't gonna be all right with me and you. So you see, this is where I look at it when I looked at that about being in the garden, about that tree of the knowledge of good and evil. God said that was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. You see, Adam didn't know any evil. Eve didn't know any evil. But when the day that they ate of that tree, their eyes were open. See, remember, Satan did tell us, said, God know that the day that you eat of this tree, your eyes going to be open. See, Satan will tell you a truth mixed with a lie. So this tithing principle, this is why I said that I see a tithing principle in that. There's something that belongs to you, and then there's something that belongs to God. Now, people, you know as well as I do, you got all types of thought about the tithe. You got some that believe one way, you got some that believe this way. Well, I'm going to say it like this here. You cannot beat God given. Now, everything belongs to God. Everything, 100%. Everything on the planet belongs to God. Now, if you are over something, he made you are only a manager. And what is a good manager? A good manager knows how to appropriate funds and does things in a business organization or operation to make things work. And he does it with integrity. Now, okay, people, let's just bring something down to earth. Jesus told his disciples that you must publish this gospel throughout the whole world, right? Am I right? Okay, if we can agree with that, right? We know Jesus said this gospel must be preached. Okay, how are you going to do it? How are you going to preach it? Well, he said, how can they hear without a preacher? How can he preach except what? He be what? Sent. Well, people now, sent. Okay, that means I got to send the gospel. I got to send people that carry this gospel throughout the whole world. Well, people, I don't have a Greyhound bus to ride on water. So therefore, it's going to take me a little bit more extra. What? What it going to take? Yes, money. It's going to take money. Money is a what? Medium of exchange for goods and services. So in other words, for me to get my evangelist to Croatia or wherever in this world, it's going to take what? It's going to take some sort of airplane, and they're going to have to take some money to get, somebody got to buy some tickets. So it's going to take some money. Where is this money going to come from? Do I have to answer that too? Got to come from somewhere. The money just ain't going to materialize. People, I'm going to say something. This is not my saying. I wish I could take credit for it, but I can't. But Bishop Clarence McClendon, I heard him teach a teaching on this before, and I got to hurry up. I don't want to make it too long. He said, you know what? Your job was never meant to meet your need. Matter of fact, you weren't really created to have a job. Oops. I done blew up. Yes. That's true. You need seed. Your job is for you to have something to give. That's what your job is for. God going to take care of your needs. He is the source of our supply, not your job. But now that's another. I can't go off on that. But just think about it. That's what you need, seed. So you must have something to give. You don't go before God empty-handed. People, now you, like I say, read your Bible. If you can see that where you don't need, everybody that came, whenever the prophets of old, when they had something, they offered unto God a sacrifice. Why do you think it called a sacrifice? You know what it is, people? We say that 10%, the tithe. That's we call that, we base that on Malachi 3:16. But let me tell you something, people. Apostle Paul said, give as it is proposed in your heart to give. 10% may not hurt you. You might need to give 20 or 30 or 40%. You might be able, see, in other words, it's according to as it proposed in your heart. You need to give. Why limit it 10% if you can give 30? You cannot beat God giving. But you know what? People have a problem with the tithes and principle because of the fact that they just want God to shower them down with all kind of blessings, but they don't want to do nothing. They ain't going to help nobody. They don't want to give, but they think the gospel just going to go around the world for free. Let me tell y'all something. I was a business major in college as well as a music major. I was a double major. The main man of economics, his name was Milton Friedman, and he told us these words: there's no such thing as a free lunch. People, everything got a price. Even salvation. We say salvation free. No, it's not. It costs you your life. So everything got it's an offset. Everything, it costs something. The price of salvation was high. It costed Jesus his precious blood. Come on, people. Now, if he gave us all of that, why do we try to keep on making ways of not trying to give to the cause of the gospel? Now, if you want the gospel, that was Jesus' great commission. Take this gospel throughout the whole world for a witness unto all. Then he said the end gonna come. That's the big, great commission. So now, if that's the great commission, it's gonna take money to do that. Why do we have a problem when it comes to giving? When God gave us all of it belong to him. Don't limit yourself, people, to a 10%. But whatever you are able, as it proposed in your heart, then that's what I feel we should give. And no one come to God empty-handed. No. You got something. If it ain't money, it's something. Give him your time. Whatever. But what it is, some of us, we want everybody to give unto us. And we don't want to return to give into no one else. And when it all boils down to people, it's just straight, plain sorriness. And there's selfishness on our part when we don't want to give to a good cause. I ain't saying you can't give. You can't do everything. But do what you can do. And with that said, brother P.P. I'm glad you made mention of that. And because of the video got cut off. And I'm glad that you made mention that you wanted me to try to repost this. And that's what I see. And I'm not trying, you know what? I'm not going to even, how would you say it? I'm not going to even entertain any kind of negative comments or feedback on this subject, because if you don't want to give to God, that's you. I can't make you. That's you. But I know who got me, and he gave me all when he gave me his son. So if I don't want to honor God with a few pennies that I have, then I'm a sorry individual. With that being said, this is the Mighty Man saying peace and goodbye.